Hey, rock stars, get ready to elevate your cleaning and restoration game with HyperVac Technologies. Originating as a humble family-run air duct cleaning service in the 1980s, this Canadian company has transformed into a global powerhouse in duct cleaning equipment. Their lineup features game changers like the Revolution 360 vacuum and the innovative Cobra View camera system, all aimed at boosting your efficiency. But here's the exciting news. HyperVac Technologies is now geared up like never before. They keep stock on all major products, including the highly sought-after Revolution portable vacuums and the H2 trucks and trailers, ensuring immediate worldwide shipping. And when they say immediate, they mean it, offering overnight freight to both the USA and Canada. What's more, everything they offer is proudly built in North America, ensuring top-notch quality. And it doesn't stop there. HyperVac Technologies is committed to improving indoor air quality because they understand that your ducts are your lungs. Their expertise extends globally with worldwide shipping available as a steadfast promise. With over 4 decades of industry excellence under their belt, HyperVac Technologies stands as your ultimate partner for reaching new heights in the cleaning and restoration business. So why wait? Head on over to their website today at www.hypervac.com and experience the difference for yourself. Thanks for listening to a word from our sponsor. Let's get back to the show. Hello, welcome to episode 144 of the Business Development Podcast. And if you've struggled to find joy in your entrepreneurial career or in your life, it is fleeting for so many of us. Today, we are bringing you joy expert Jillian Schecher. You are not going to want to miss this episode.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Welcome to episode 144 of the Business Development Podcast. Wow, I can't believe how fast we're clipping along here. My gosh, do we have an absolute rock star expert guest for you today? I know that each and every one of you has struggled at one point or another with finding joy, me included. And today I'm bringing you a joy expert. Today, we're bringing on Jillian Schecher. Jillian Schecher is a vibrant CEO, author, and lead facilitator renowned for her multi-passionate approach to joy and mindfulness coaching. With her mission to empower individuals to embrace their innate joy and awaken to lives that they love, Jillian has authored the Daily Joy Journal and pioneered the Joy Sessions. Immersive experiences that illuminate the path to greater balance, abundance, and joy in all facets of life. Grounded in her belief that joy is intrinsic to every individual, Jillian fosters spaces of self-compassion and authenticity, guiding clients to unlock their full potential and live fully present in each moment. Whether igniting laughter in group sessions or finding solace in quiet moments with books and cuddly companions, Jillian embodies the perfect blend of adventure and home comfort, infusing every interaction with warmth and genuine human connection. With her superpowers as a master manifester and a highly sensitive empath, Jillian lights up the world, inspiring others to shine brightly from within. In a world yearning for joy and authenticity, Jillian Schecher is the beacon of light, guiding countless souls to embrace their true selves and live boldly in pursuit of their deepest desires. With laughter as her compass and empathy as her guide, she empowers individuals to unleash their inner joy warriors and create lives that radiate with purpose and fulfillment. Get ready to join Jillian on a journey of self-discovery and transformation where every day is an opportunity to laugh, love, and live out loud. Jillian, it's an honor to have you on today.
Kelly, I'm literally like, I know I'm the joy queen, but I'm crying over here. That was the most truly magical intro I've ever heard or felt in my whole life.
Wow.
Like, thank you. And will you write for me?
I'll send that on over and you can have somebody shout it from the rooftops at every single introduction from now on.
No, truly, like I'm very emotional over here. Thank you. Wow, that was really, really, really special.
Well, thank you. You're really special. I really appreciate you coming on today. We talked about this before the show and we're going to get into it after your story, but I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, me included, have really struggled to find joy and happiness in what we're doing. We know it's meaningful. We know we're changing the world, but it's really friggin' hard. And I think that we think about work a lot. And I know you fell into that struggle as well with even the stuff that you're doing. And trying to find a way to distance ourselves and just find happiness in the day-to-day, not always striving for the next thing, is really hard. And I think it's super cool because I know you've been on a show with Ben Spangle as well. And I had Ben come on for our New Year's show to try and give some mindfulness coaching and like help people. And one of the things he really spoke to was finding joy in the moment. But I think it's really hard for a lot of us.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is the funny thing about joy. And I know we've got a lot of room to chat, which I love. I can already feel all the wisdom bombs dropping in, but it feels like, we think that joy is this bright, shiny experience. And I write a lot about this, that's not actually what I believe it to be. I feel like in all of my personal experience and research and work with clients and multiple people and groups, it's actually what I found. It's very different for everyone. Joy is not what we might think it is. It's actually, I feel like it's actually alignment with how we most want to feel and what we most want to experience. And so this is where I do a lot of work around joy-based values. Like, how do you most want to feel? Mm-hmm. And let's get you there, because then you get to feel aligned with that. And that to me is one aspect of joy. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think too, it's like as we grow, I think about the things that I used to find a lot of happiness in before I was an entrepreneur. And I really struggle to find happiness in those same things today. And it's like, sometimes I wonder, it's like, what is it that actually makes me happy? It's like I'm kind of caught in this in between sometimes where I don't know what that is anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets to change. It's not always the same. And it's also in workshops, I'll ask people, what does joy mean for you right now, today? Like not yesterday or last year. Again, I think many of us think that, even as we start out as entrepreneurs, it's like you have this idea of what you want to do. And this is why it's really important to tend to our why along the way, because you can lose track of what actually is fulfilling, what actually feels good. And then you end up doing the things in your business, like maybe the mechanics that don't feel good, and wonder why you're not happy any longer. Also, why maybe you are profitable, but not actually fulfilled. Yeah. And all of these other questions, right? So I feel like it's kind of like a bit of a moving animal.
It is. I agree completely. And it's so funny because I've had the pleasure at this point of interviewing so many amazing people that have achieved incredible success. And a lot of the times they'll come up and they'll say, yeah, Kelly, like I'm super happy right now. And now I work 4 hours a day or whatever it is. And then I'll look at them and I'll say, that's great. But what about the 10 years that you slugged to get here? Are we just forgetting about all that like insane hard work it took before you got to be happy? And sometimes I kind of question, is that what I want? Do I want to slug for 10 years before I get to be happy?
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly feel like why I'm here. It's to teach and show and practice. I'm very humble in my work.
Yeah.
I'm often alongside everyone else doing it, but it's really that joy is actually a practice, and it requires us to tend to ourselves along the way. And I can't tell you how many leaders and business owners I work with who have everything that you and I would want after years of hustling and are feeling empty. And then that's where I come in, is to like rebuild that alignment with what you actually want to experience. So I'm like, let's do this now, guys. Like, let's not wait until, we have the yachts.
Yeah.
Let's actually like do it, like feel good along the way so that we get to experience the inner and outer richness.
Amazing. And I hope that we can impart some of that wisdom today, because I know there's a lot of people listening right now that are like, yes, please, Jillian, tell us how do we get happy in this thing? Because we're doing great things. And I think most of them are happy in their work. I really love my work. But I love my work, but I also feel the grind of my work in order to keep up at the level of performance that I expect myself to keep up at, right? And sometimes I wonder how much of my challenges are self-imposed, right? Like how much of this is me and how much of this is really just the reality of my situation in a given moment. But we can get into that. What I want to know first is, take us back to the beginning. Who is Jillian Schecher? How the heck did you end up on your path?
Oh, wow, that is such a loaded question. Okay. Where to begin? Well, honestly, when I think about joy, like when I do feel like I am the embodiment of joy. Not meaning that I feel all the great shiny stuff all the time, but a lot of the time. And I have been like that most of my life. Like most people would say that about me, like, oh yeah, she's joyful. Like she loves to laugh and have fun and be light about things. When I look back, like I was very much into, like, I would just have these pictures. I have images of my childhood that are like very much nature driven. It's like watering flowers. That was joy. Flowers were always joy for me. Always in grandma's garden, smelling peonies, standing in a pile of ants, like kind of just like I was a massive tomboy. My brother was my hero as much as he hated me following him and his friends around. I hated wearing tights. Like I was very much like ready to like party in the most natural way and just was always kind of in awe of life, I think. And that's a piece that I'm proud I still have, is like a bit of that awe and really being able to see like the magic of life. I mean, I had a very loving family and and I'm very honest about my story because it is a story of, like I would say a pain to power story, which I believe we all have in many different ways around like the places where I disconnected from myself. So one thing I do say about joy is that I believe it's actually who we are. And when you look at kids and animals and nature, even, you can see like that is like that most natural element is those qualities of like peace and love and joy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I feel like that is who I was, and I was the embodiment of it. And then there's places I can see where I kind of left myself by the side of the road, and so it feels like, I was kind of in a codependent family. Again, super loving. I never say any of my truth or my path and feel any pity around it or martyrdom. Like it is very much, I see every single piece of it as being so purposeful in me being able to light up the world from the inside out now. So I have a lot of gratitude for every aspect. And there's just some like honest truths. My dad was an alcoholic and awesome guy, just friggin' drank too much and smoked his brains out. And he died really young at 57 of a heart attack. And that really exploded my life. So that was, I think, like just from a very young age. And so most of the people I serve have experiences of this, of sacrificing yourself to make those around you happy. And I feel like, especially with the funniest people, we look at Robin Williams or lots of the comedians, people who seem like the funniest, most gregarious people are often the ones who have maybe also left themselves in certain ways, right? Making sure that everyone else around is actually happy or feeling good. Meanwhile, we are the ones that could be suffering silently.
Yeah. And I don't know. I kind of feel like on some level, it's just part of humanity, right? I think on some level, we all have to sacrifice our happiness on a certain level for the people around us. And I haven't seen another way of doing it yet.
Yeah. I feel like I found a bit of a method for it. It feels like there gets to be win-wins, a place where we get to honor ourselves and have people in our lives that honor us. And we want the best for everyone, where it's very, very mutual and respectful. And it feels like a new way. So I'll share a little bit more about that because it's part of my reclamation of joy. Required me to actually put myself first. And it is now what I teach others. And, it is, I think, like part of the issue I see with a lot of people where it's, you're not happy and not feeling good because you actually don't know how to feel because you've been disregarding yourself for so long, right? Mm-hmm. So that was the piece around for me where I put everyone else ahead of myself. And again, no, it is very human, I would say, absolutely, because we want the best for those around us. And I think even from a protection perspective, it's like, I want to feel safe. So I'll make sure you're good so that I feel good, especially as a kid, right? So a lot of that. And then that just turned into I would just say like getting further away. And then when dad died, it was just like, anyone who's had someone close like that, it just felt like my life exploded. That's the best way to describe it. And I didn't know how to handle it. I hadn't really been able to be with my own feelings. I went and made sure everyone else was okay. So that's one of the major places where I feel like I left. It was like, I'm just going to go do this. I got to shut off because I don't even know how to cope with this.
Yeah.
And so that led to me drinking a lot of Vino Tinto. So I would just, at the time, okay, I've done a lot of things. We should back up. I got a psychology degree. Okay. Way back when. And then I went and taught English like most people do with a degree or did at that time. I mean, did you go teach English?
I did not, but I don't have a degree.
Okay. Well, there's still time. There's still time. Anyway, so I went and taught English and I loved like being overseas and just, travel and everything. So I thought, I'm going to go and get a master's in sociology is what I thought I would do.
Yeah.
Or psychology. So I started going back to school, but I was selling shampoo at Aveda and I kept on getting mesmerized by everyone cutting hair. I would get in so much shit for watching people cut hair. And I realized I actually didn't want to have my head in the books anymore. I just wanted to like live and be. And I ended up quitting school and going to hair school.
Wow.
Much to my parents' dismay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what? You're what? I want to be a hairstylist. So I did that. So this is kind of like the path is just so windy and crazy, but so awesome because, I was very much able to just follow my heart and pick up all these skills. So I did hair for, 5 years or so and loved it and met so many amazing people. And I was able to connect so deeply with them. I think I was joy coaching way back then, if you ask some of them.
Yeah.
And then when my dad died, I couldn't show up for people in that way anymore. I can't hide my emotions. So I ended up getting a grant to go to school, and I went to design school and I did design and photography and kind of just shifted gears there as well.
Yeah.
And so I was able to just kind of carve out a path. That was 2009. That was my business was built or started building it as a brand designer and photographer way back when.
Wow.
And I was doing odd jobs on the side, flower shop and little joy things. And meanwhile, that was around when dad had passed. So that's when I kind of started using alcohol to numb and just, noticing like the wine one a night was turning into more and the line was being crossed. And I was starting to obsess about like not wanting to drink or not doing that again. And that led to quite a few years of, I would say, disconnection from myself to the point where I was blacking out probably every night. And not without drinking too much. I wasn't drinking the whole box of wine, but it was the box of wine that did me in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. And I hear that story a lot. And I get it. Because I get it. I get the idea of like compartmentalization, right? And just like finding a way to like separate life. And I think, I've been in business development enough years now that, I got really good at compartmentalizing because you have to be on all the time, whether you're feeling shitty or not. It's just part of the day to day, right? You can't go into a BD meeting feeling like a sack of crap.
Or letting them know that you feel like a sack of crap.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I think I definitely went that way as well. Definitely didn't end up with any type of alcohol abuse or anything along those lines, but I could definitely see how it very much is possible when you're trying to compartmentalize and you're feeling like crap inside. I totally feel for you. And I'm very sorry that you lost your father so young.
Oh, thanks, Kelly. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it. And I also feel like, again, one of those places where, in law of attraction, we look at contrast, not as a place to stop us or harm us, but a place to really deepen into the experience you're here to have. And I don't love that everything happens for a reason. I feel like that can be so validating when you're going through a really hard time. But I do feel like we give things meaning. And I feel like I can sense my dad now with me.
Yeah.
And I sense how proud he is. And like, I get to kind of rewrite the history of even our family, like kind of heal that lineage of this addiction. And my brother's been doing the same thing too. It's really amazing.
Yeah. So take us into that. You're drinking a box of wine a night.
It wasn't a box of wine, but it was. but that, like getting a box, which I thought was brilliant, was like pretty much having a Slurpee in your freaking fridge, So not a good move.
That's fair. So take us. You're there. You're at rock bottom. How does it turn around?
It turned around with me deciding if I wanted to live or not. Truly, like, because it had been such a problem. It got so much progressively worse. And then at the end, just blacking out and making really shitty decisions and not even really truly feeling like myself at all. Mm-hmm. And so for anyone who does have the experience of addiction, it is so incarcerating. It's just like, it's not living. It's actually like you're at the mercy of something outside of you. That's what it feels like. And so, I made the choice to live and I chose sobriety. And that path, like that was probably that moment was the easiest decision for me to make because it felt like such a clear choice. Mm-hmm, like either I'm fucking doing this or I'm not, you know? And yeah, and then I did, my own atonement, meaning, and this is, I think, where all the compassion comes from the joy, is for the joy work, is that I realized so deeply that, all of the pain, all of the mistakes, all of the places where I may have hurt myself or others, if I could learn from that and take it forward, that it would be worth, like, I could make it matter. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like making it matter. And that's when I forgave myself deeply for all of it and was able to move forward knowing, like, I'm not actually here to be perfect. In fact, I think it was possibly perfection that was also contributing to everything, because it's just so unrealistic. And it's like a massive sabotage. It's on our shoulder all the time. The critic just standing there. So I was able to, I call it the place where I came home to myself. And it feels like where I truly started living. I mean, the path from sobriety forward was a tricky one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like, holy shit, I'm here. Like, my relationships with my family, the people in my life, like, it all feels so aligned now. But at the beginning, like, I realized it wasn't the drinking that I was into as much as, well, the numbing of the discomfort, actually. But then also the swallowing down, myself to make sure everyone else was okay. So I had to, like, so I turned into a massive no person, right? From a yes to a no, like the pendulum swung massively. Yeah. And I remember my family was scared of me. My mom said, like, I don't even know who you are anymore. Like, I'm afraid, and I'm like, holy shit. It felt so foreign to me, because I was like, I finally feel like myself, and the people I love and love me don't even actually appreciate or support, like, this path for me. Even my mom didn't, she was like, you have a drinking problem? Like, I was like, Mom, I was drunk every time we talked, but hit it really well. So I feel like it was more the relationships that were the issue as I got sober.
Yeah.
And, now I notice when things get uncomfortable, like when the people I love are suffering or shit's going down, and it's like, you don't know how to handle it. And I still feel like that initial desire to, like, numb that discomfort.
Yeah.
But now, thank God, I have the tools, and I've been able to build them literally for myself and others to support that sturdiness when it feels like everything is wobbling.
Yeah. And I want to speak to alcohol just for a second, because I think we live in a weird time. Alcohol is in a weird time. It's like we've kind of sat down with cigarettes and decided as a group that we're not okay with cigarettes, right? Yeah. But alcohol is one of those things where you could go to somebody and be like, yeah, I'm not drinking today. And they look at you like, why not? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I know. What was that experience like for you? Suddenly, going from somebody who would have always had a drink in your hand at an event or something like that to someone who's like, yeah, I'm not drinking anymore. Was that potentially some of the challenge, even with your own family, being like, whoa, like, that's what we do here?
They're like, you're no fun.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I'm so much more fun now. Like, I'm more fun now, and I can remember things, and I feel good. Like, just like because I was a smoker too. I mean, I used to love smoking. And I remember when you're in the addiction, you feel like you can't have joy without the thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I quit smoking, I read Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Smoking, which I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to read a book and it's going to make me not want to smoke. Yeah. But actually, and this is the realm that I now work in, is the realm of awareness. And it is a powerful realm, because once you know the truth, if you want to live consciously, it's really hard to disregard it and deny it, right? Yeah. So what he said was, the thing about addiction is you think, okay, this is me absolutely paraphrasing it and dumbing it down, but it's like, you think that you need the thing in order to be joyful, but actually it's the removal of withdrawal symptoms that actually feels good for you. Mm-hmm. So if you can simply get through the withdrawal, which for nicotine is 3 days, alcohol, I don't know how long, like the physical withdrawal, is that you could actually feel good all the time. Yeah. And by good, I mean like a better baseline, right? Yeah. Like, cause we're not here to feel good all the time, I don't think, actually, but it's like, I realized, like, in that moment, I was like, oh my God. So I was smoking thinking, how can you even people be happy? Like, literally judging people who didn't smoke. And I realized, no, like, they're happy because they don't smoke, because they don't have the withdrawal. They don't have the down. So
Yeah.
So that was powerful. And I find the same with alcohol. Like the brain, the brain is a powerful organ.
Totally.
I consider it a magic wand. Like the mind, I believe, is truly a magic wand. It's like, but we need to use it consciously to support the focus and the expansion of the things we desire. So with alcohol, even that, like that was always a battle. I think the thing with alcoholics or people who have drinking problems is that, even though you could say no, you never do. And that's how I knew I had a problem. Like it was never a no, So yeah, I agree. I think people were like probably a little sad because I was quite a lot of fun. My husband might not say the same. Like he always thinks I'm fun, but he would see the effects afterwards.
Totally.
And have to ride that roller coaster with me, which I'm sure was not fun at all. But I remember some people just being like, really? Never again?
Yeah.
Like ever?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah. And they're like, well, what if it's like bartering with someone and I just think of it like I've had the same experience. Like, I think we're all the same with weight loss. Like we're all actually mirrors for each other. So what happens is if you release something that's not working for you, then it could potentially be a mirror for others around what may not be working for them that they might not be ready to fully see.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So again, keep doing what you're doing so that I can feel comfortable.
Yes.
God forbid you change and I start to have to look at myself like, let's not shift this shit, Right?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. No, alcohol is a weird one because it's like we've kind of normalized something on a certain level that when people try to walk away from it, there's so many societal things that keep people from being able to do that. So it's really hard. I think like smoking less so, it's become a lot more demonized.
Yeah.
But alcohol specifically still lives in this really weird place where it's like, if you want to make better choices for your life and quit drinking alcohol, society looks at you like you're crazy. And it's like the opposite is somewhat true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember. So, as I was walking my path, I find it so funny. This is why I'm so passionate about leadership and this new era of leadership, which I believe deeply is actually about walking the walk. And I talk about how we're here to inspire rather than rescue or control or even manage. Like, it's like, how can I just walk the walk? When I got sober and I stumbled upon meditation, which we can talk about because that was a game changer. I was like, you guys have to meditate. Like I was like the meditation station, right? Like you got to do this because it feels so good and it's going to change your life and everyone needs to do this from now on.
Yeah.
And they're all like, back off, like you told us what to do. And it's also kind of creepy when someone's like, so like, this is the best thing, like a little culty,
Yeah.
So no one wanted to do it. And so I was like, fine. And I decided to kind of just really release. And I've realized this deeply as well, like healing my codependency tendencies, really stepping more into unconditional love. And the more I've done that in my life and allowed people to be where they're at, regardless of where that is, has created so much more peace for me personally, but it's also really improved my relationships because no one wants to feel judged or like they need to be different for you to accept them more. Right.
Yeah.
So with my brother, especially, he was drinking too. And I was just like, trying to impose my path on him. And I remember one time we got in a fight because I was like, just let it go. Like, look, it's ruining your life. Like, has alcohol ever helped your life? And he's like, what am I going to do, Jill? Like, go to the bar and drink a Diet Coke? And lo and behold,
he did.
This past year, like he literally went out to the pub with his buddies and drank Diet Coke. And I was like, oh my God. No, we went out for lunch once where both of us probably would have had like, I don't know how many pints and wings, and we're both drinking Diet Coke. And I was like, holy shit, look at it's happening. Like it's actually happening. And it's not because I forced you to, or, like blasted you with it. It's literally because he's been walking this path on his own. Yeah.
I can relate to that a lot. Actually, this year has been a big year for me too, even like changing. Like it wasn't uncommon for me to go to lunch and have, 2 beers and then go back to work or whatever I needed to do. And I'm finding too, it's like now it's like I need to perform at 110%. And even those 2 beers or 1 beer at lunchtime is enough to not allow me to do that. And so I'm finding that just out of like necessity, I have stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad about it. I see this as like a healthy baseline for going forward. And I'm not against alcohol. I think for some people it's fine. But I think for some people it can become a real problem. And you really have to make that judgment of who am I? Which side of that fence do I fall on? And be honest with yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I also don't judge alcohol or people who drink. I'm down with it. Like it's truly whatever feels right for everyone. It always comes back to me in terms of like, are you feeling how you want to feel? And is this supporting that? Why, like
Yeah.
what do you most want to experience? And, the things in your life, like what is contributing to it, what is taking away. And for a lot of people, it's not a problem at all. Like, and for those who it is a problem with, I would just say like to have a look at that and be willing to maybe explore it again, compassionately. Like,
Yeah.
is this serving me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's usually not the alcohol. There's something else underneath. There's something underlying that is the real problem.
Yeah. And if I may, for me, sobriety has nothing to do with substances. To me, like the definition of sobriety to me personally is having the courage to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's having the courage to feel. So we could talk about booze, but I'm like, let's talk about scrolling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sugar.
Sure.
Let's talk about, gambling or sex or like whatever is the thing that we're doing to numb the feelings.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And let's talk about feelings for a second, because feelings is something, my fiance is very much like you. I see a lot of her in you. And she's
Love
very
Shelby.
much Shelby, but that's okay.
Shelby.
She'll love that.
You can call me Schecher.
She's awesome. She's super in tune with her feelings. And I know we'll be in conversation sometimes and I'll be struggling because I'm one of those people who just shuts down. Like, and it's not like I'm shutting down, but like, I think I really do struggle sometimes to get deep with my feelings, even with myself. Like, let's get real. I'm not talking about like a conversation with someone else. It's like even getting to that moment and being like, Kelly, are you okay? Like, are we really good? Like, what are we actually feeling right now? And I know I'm not alone in that. I know there's plenty of men out there who really struggle, probably men and women who struggle with connecting with their feelings. Like, that's just not, I grew up in a time when it was like, get over it, figure it out, move on, do the thing you need to do. Like, I'm so performance oriented. I'm so goal driven, performance oriented that, like you said in the beginning of our conversation, we can just completely overlook our feelings. We can just kick them to the side, shut them down, and do what we need to do, to a point where, like, I know, like, sometimes we'll struggle with connection just because I struggle maybe with connection with myself. And it's like, how do you fix something that you're not even sure what's wrong or how to do it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're hitting me in the heart right now, Kelly. So for me, I love working with men. And for exactly this reason, I feel like we haven't, as a society, really given men permission to feel. And so the men that I work with, it's the exact same thing. It's like, how do I actually feel? Like being able to actually feel the feelings and then go from there. And it's so empowering. And what I need to say about men is like, when I give a man some tools to like, here are the feelings, here's how to feel the feelings, and simply begin to hold space for men to actually feel and share how they're feeling, begin to articulate it. Because again, like I feel like, and you could consider this a judgment, but based on the men that I've worked with and what I've seen in my life, it's like there's even a lack of ability to articulate around the feelings because no one has taught you to. It wasn't very much modeled. It's just not the way we have raised men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, I think back to like one of the most impactful things that's hit me recently. And like literally like 3 nights ago, we have a baby boy. He's 3 months old. Almost 4 months old. He's so sweet, but he got sick. And in the middle of the night, he was really crying, had a really bad fever, and it was time. Like we'd put it off. We'd done everything we could for him. It was time to take him to the hospital and see if we couldn't get him some help. Mm-hmm. And I remember like I had to stay home because we have 3 other boys as well. And I had to stay home and Shelby went. And I know like in that moment, the feelings that I was feeling for my baby boy, like I cried. My eyes were watering. I was feeling horrible for him. The fact that he has to go to the hospital at 4 months old. And for me, like that was probably the first time that my eyes have watered.
This is salty wetness.
Yeah. Like it was just like, but it was the overwhelm of that situation and just how bad I felt for my baby boy in that moment. But it's like, yeah, it takes something that big sometimes to really feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And thank you for sharing. I think that's so important. And congrats and how's he doing now?
Oh, he's good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. We're good. It was just new parent. I'm a very new parent. So new parent spares and feelings. But yeah, he's good. He's good. He's better now. But yeah, it freaked the crap out of me in the moment.
Yeah. And so like the thing about the feelings is the ability to just feel it instead of stuff it or numb it. Right. And what happens is so when I got sober, that was the most uncomfortable part was the feelings. And so I was just studying like how to actually feel better. I was reading Pima Chodron's book called Living Beautifully. She's got a few really good books that I highly recommend for people who are going through it. And in it, she spoke about a neuroscientist named Jill Bolt Taylor who had a stroke and studied her own recovery.
Wow.
And she found that a feeling only lasts 90 seconds.
Wow.
And literally that was why I'm sober right now. I swear, because I don't know if I would have been able to get through it without that piece of wisdom around, okay, so if it's only 90 seconds, so it's actually my desire to push it away, resist it, that's making it persist, and or the places where I might grab onto the feeling and then just spiral downward. Call every single person I know, talk about the discomfort, really focus on the shit you don't want to have happen, begin expanding it so that you feel actually worse. So I was like, okay, well, there's another alternative here. And it's literally sitting with the feelings. And that kind of coincided with my meditation experience where I stumbled into lifestyle meditation, the first class, the first day. Met Mandy Trapp, who's now one of my best friends. And it changed my life so massively because it was the first time I actually came home to myself and was able to just like be without, and I resisted meditation for years because it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen in there? Like, I don't even want to see what's going on in there,
Yeah.
And so, that was the piece around it. So I was like, okay, so I can sit, meditate, be a witness, become a witness to not only my thoughts, but also my feelings. And it kind of helped me to begin holding space for myself and just know, I can get through it. Like I can get through it. And that it's actually on the other side of the discomfort that joy lives.
Yeah.
Very often, right? It's also, I learned this or heard it from Brene Brown years ago, and it has stuck with me, is that you can't selectively numb your feelings. So if you're numbing pain, you're also numbing joy. And when I got sober, I actually found like the joy was freaking me out. The gratitude I felt was so immense, and I started noticing almost anxiety around the good things in my life, feeling like, oh my God, what if something happens?
Yeah.
What if this gets taken away? Or what if something happens to the people I love, or, my puppy or my husband, like lots of kind of fear almost around the joy and the feeling of all of it. So I really had that experience, and now I also teach people how to kind of raise the joy ceiling too. Like, let it in.
Yeah. Like that's not the first time that I've heard that. And so I find that really interesting because it's like you get rid of the negative things and you think you're safe, but then you hear the same thing. People are then the fear just switches to, what if I lose this thing that's great? And then does that just lead to self-sabotage? What does that lead to?
Well, and this is why we do the work. Like this is why. So this is, the work that I do, and it's why I call it the practice of joy. I have the joy method. We can dive into that if we want to, but it's really like that ability to feel the feelings no matter what they are, even just give room to them. So feelings are also emotions, which is simply energy in motion. So everything is made of energy. Yeah. And if I can just allow that feeling to move through, again, I can get to the other side of it instead of it getting stuck. I mean, I feel like this is where dis-ease is literally created, is from just the holding of all of this shit that we could literally let go and experience that lightness of being, which most of us seek. Like I would say most people say they want to feel peaceful, actually, but if we're not willing to feel the grief or the pain or the frustration or the anger, it's really, it's going to be tricky to experience the peace that we desire.
Is it a choice? Like, can you because I can tell you that when I'm feeling things and I shut down, it doesn't feel like a choice. Right. It doesn't feel like I have a choice in that moment to be like, I'm going to feel this right now. Right? It feels like my body's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I get it. And that is a literal shutdown. But what I would say, so this is where the mindfulness component comes in. It's being able, and this is the practice of joy. Okay. And it's like why I journal. It's why I do all the things I do. It's why I meditate. It's that ability to actually meet yourself in it, in the discomfort. It's saying, okay, I'm noticing myself shutting down. It's having awareness of our bodies, of our emotions, of our perceptions and sensations, so that in a moment of shutdown, I can say, okay, I'm feeling myself shut down, and then actually take care of myself. Like, what do I need to do for myself? Do I need to go sit in meditation? Do I need to just fucking lay down? Do I need to have a timeout? Like, we need to bring the timeouts back to adulthood, you need a timeout because we typically don't. And then what we do is we're in reaction mode and often doing things that are stress induced that actually aren't in our best interest or in the interest of the people that we are in relationship with. And it can just lead to a lot of turmoil. So I feel like, well, I know it is an automatic response, right? So fight or flight, fawn, freeze. I
Yeah.
mean, they're stress responses. So what you're speaking of is an actual automated response in the body to stress, but we're conscious beings. So there are spaces where you have the time or there will be a space, because there's space between every single thought. So there's a space between that stress response where you get to choose, okay, I'm noticing I'm in a stress response. I'm actually going to do A, B, or C to bring down my stress, support my nervous system and be able to respond in a way that is actually, helpful for me and in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I talk to a lot of people who feel, and I don't know whether it's like, I want to call it the overwhelm of the world. Like, I genuinely think we live in a time now with too much information. We know too much. We just know too much. And it's like, I know people that'll get down about the war in Ukraine, or they'll get down about the latest and greatest, civil rights thing going on. It's so impactful. In your experience, how can people find joy? Oh, and does it come down to they just have to not pay attention to anything going on in the media for people that are susceptible to that?
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you handle that?
So how do you find joy when the world is suffering? Is that
Yeah.
the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I love it. It feels loaded, but I'm going for it.
It's tough.
So
Yeah.
there's like many kind of components, it feels like, to this question. And the thing is like, I really feel like it's important for me to share that I'm not the authority on anyone else. So I'm going to share what I believe, what I know to be true that has been helpful for others. But I also would invite whoever's listening to actually always filter other people's wisdom through your own internal wisdom to feel like, is this true for me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is really tricky. I mean, like I am very spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. So I look at things in terms of energy, but also from a soulful perspective. And like, there's a few components to this. And I don't want to go too deeply into all of it because it will take for sure the whole time. But what I want to say is, like, I deeply believe that we actually light up the world from the inside out. Okay. And most of us tend to look outward, especially when it comes to suffering. It's part of our human nature. And it's this beautiful heartfelt component that we're born with. It's like to care about others. So it can be really hard to feel okay when others are not okay. But if we bring this back to what I was sharing about my childhood, even where I would sacrifice myself to make sure others were okay, what I'm seeing is, like, I feel like we're all actually empaths. We all actually have the ability to feel others' pain and others' joy. Like, that's part of our abilities, whether or not we want to hone it, right? And so if I'm tapped into the suffering of the world and I'm focused on how to fix the world, like, I know that is the absolute path to suffering for myself.
Yeah.
And the reason I know this is because I've tried to do it my whole life and it actually almost killed me. Really, truly. It almost took me down. And then I just think of the oxygen mask and how important it is for us to tend to our own light. So I see each of us in the world as a light. And, I actually have a vision, and my mission is all around lighting up the world like a field full of fireflies. Because I saw it in a meditation. I saw a field. It was the expanded vision of what I was doing in the world. And so now when I go back to that vision, I see us all as these lights. And if so, there's people who are in conflict and experiencing horrors, their light is dimming. And so you notice the other lights in the field. So my light might want to give to that experience and what's going on out there. And then what begins to happen? My light begins to dim.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start giving from depletion. And then, soon enough, I'm dim or my light is actually gone.
Yeah.
So what I truly believe is that, like, from an energetic perspective, is if I can mind my own light, if I can honor my own energy, it doesn't mean I don't look. It doesn't mean that I'm not tending to that energy, but I'm doing it from a place of overflow, meaning I'm not looking at it every day because I can't, because it will take me down. Right. Yeah. It's, I pay enough attention to it to honor it, to send like blessings, prayers. Like I'm deeply sending light out into the world every day. I teach people how to do this, how to actually amplify the light in the world. But as an energy, well, I actually call myself a joy wizard. Okay. There, it's out there. So it's like really managing the energy and noticing the energy and noticing how I'm feeling. How I'm feeling is my compass. If I end up in despair, it's okay for me to go there every here and there. Okay. I'm noticing what's going on in the world. I'm down in despair. But if I stay into despair and get down into hopelessness and stay there too long, you can imagine what that would do for my light. And then what does that do for the world?
Yeah.
So it's how do I tend to reality in a way that actually supports my light so that I can actually be a light for others, right? So I manage it. I don't watch the news. Like very rarely am I watching the news. I tend to it when I need to, and that's about as I do. All I do, English. But then I'm actively working on my energy every single day. So in meditation, I do a tree of life meditation, and I'm actively sending light out into the world, energy out into the world from an overflow state, and praying, adding everyone into my prayers. And I know it's like, oh, love and light. But I'm like, I deeply believe in the power of prayer.
Yeah.
I've
Me too.
seen it like change lives, save lives. And it's part of my practice.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's something, regardless of what you believe in, there's something about praying to a higher power that allows you to release it from you. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is that as humans, we can only do so much, right? Regardless.
Yeah.
And you can't hold the weight of the world. And there's something about a prayer that just lifts that weight from you.
Yeah. And if I may also add, from an energetic perspective, it's very like, as humans, we want to look outside of ourselves. I feel like the path gets a lot deeper and more potent the more that we're doing the inner work, actually. So, because the thing is, if I'm looking out and I'm judging things as good or bad outside in the world, and then I'm trying to make the world different for me to feel better,
Mhm.
what happens is my joy becomes conditional. From walking the path of addiction with family members, we lost my brother-in-law in 2022, an overdose. We walked many years with him in a horrific addiction and did everything we could. And literally there comes a point where you need to actually detach with love. I feel like this is kind of the energetic of what's going on now, is the ability to detach, but still remain loving about it, still handle things energetically. Yeah. And that to me feels like it preserves my well-being as well as the same time as others. There's also the perspective of, I want to look outside in the world, but what is actually going on within me? So I like to use relationships and the world as a reflection of myself. Not in, it sounds very narcissistic, but it's like in a way in which, like, because my human nature may want to judge,
Yeah.
you as doing something wrong or bad,
Sure.
and you need to change it for me to feel okay, right? But what if that exact energetic is within me? And what if I tended to it within me? So I'll give you an example of a family member and some suffering. Okay. Contrast. We have a family member who's going through, a kind of a Parkinson's diagnosis. Sucks, awful. Wouldn't wish that on anyone. And we were all together on a family vacation, and we were all stressed out because he wasn't using his walker, was refusing to use any support. And I was just like in such high anxiety. It's one of the times where I would want to grab a drink, to be honest with you, to numb that discomfort.
Yeah.
Because again, something I can't control, it's outside of me. Right. And I remember saying to my mom-in-law, I wish he would just surrender. Yeah. And in that moment, I flipped it onto myself. I was like, and I just heard who needs to truly surrender here?
Yeah.
And I was like, boom. So the thing that I'm desiring for someone else is actually my piece to be working on. Where can I surrender my need to control this person for me to feel safe or okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where can I detach with love and trust that he's got his own outcomes, his own life path, and that I can love and support, but I actually can't control. That's where I actually have control, is my response to the external world and to the people around me, is instead of making it about them and about what needs to change out there and who needs to do what and how they need to do it. You can feel how friggin' conditional this gets.
Yeah.
It's what if actually I release all of that with love, and I send love, and I focus on how I can feel okay about what's going on, because I can't actually change a lot of it.
I find it so funny because you had me thinking about entrepreneurship there, because, we're speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know most of them they take it onto themselves. They don't let other people make their business choices for them. If they want success, they try to find a way to get that success. They don't wait for someone else to give it to them. But yet with our joy or with our feelings about things, we do give so much of that to other people.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we say you're the thief of joy, but it's that cannot be thieved, which that hath not been given. in Shakespeare. I just made it up.
I was going to say, okay, Merlin.
I've been talking in Old English lately. Don't mind me.
That's just your inner joy wizard
Merlin.
coming out.
That's what's happening. That's wild. It happened in a course of mine recently too. It's so funny. But truly, like, you know, joy really requires us to take full accountability for our experience, right?
Yeah.
And really see ourselves as the co-creators and the deliberate designers of our lives, our businesses, our relationships. Like, it's not happening to us as much as it can feel that way.
Mm-hmm. But, oh man, and I get it. I do get that, but it can really feel like it's happening to us, can't it?
Yep. Okay. Like 100%. Like, I'm in the practice with you. You know, there's times where it really does. And like, why and why me? But that's when I deepen into the joy work around really seeing things as the opportunity for growth. And I know deeply that we're here to grow. Like, if I think about, okay, what is this life truly about? Like, what is it truly about? I know it's for me to have the biggest impact that I can have, while feeling as good as I can possibly feel, knowing that doesn't mean I'm going to be feeling comfortable, and that there will be contrast, because the contrast, or the things that we might not choose, actually support us in revisioning. And as much as we all want to get to the place where everything's good, right, and it feels okay. I had a client recently says, I just want to feel aligned 24/7. And I was like, okay, well, might as well be an angel in the clouds eating bonbons, you know, because
I just want to never have a bad day every day. Yeah.
Like, not going to happen. And I have to remind myself too, like, as much as I want to feel good all the time, like, I'm actually here to grow. What does that mean? It means I'm going to get the opportunity to practice myself as a deliberate designer of my life. I'm going to get the opportunity to revision. As entrepreneurs, how many friggin' pivots have we done, right? Yeah. Especially this past 4 years, like, holy shit. So it's really knowing that stuff, when it happens, it's not here to hurt us or harm us. It's often here to show us where to revision. And when I look back at all of those uncomfortable places, I feel like a lot of it served my highest and best good. I just didn't know it at the time, but it did serve more alignment for me.
Jillian, that's absolutely amazing. And I do think it is, I don't know, it's a lot, because obviously if we could just be happy all the time, we would choose that, right? And it does feel like something like, if we can have even an ounce more control in that, I want to have it. I want to have that ounce more control, because if that only makes me 1% more happy in my life, that's what I want to be. But I think for some people, it can just feel, and I do feel like specifically for entrepreneurs, my gosh, we don't know when to give up. We don't know when to just be happy with ourselves. And I am super guilty for that. I know plenty of my friends are guilty for that. Plenty of the people we've had on the show are guilty for that. We're just constantly striving, and we don't even know what the hell we're striving for half the time. We're just striving. Yeah. And we're really good at it.
Yes. Yeah. Striving award goes to each and every one of you. I know it. Like, I know it. And honestly, I experience it. Okay. As an entrepreneur, I also experience it. And what I also know to be true is, like, the thing, when we're in striving, we can tend to get very outside of ourselves. And what can happen is that the things that truly matter go to the wayside. And we're allowing the mind to actually dictate what is going on for us. And I feel like the more people I can speak to about this, the better, so that I can support aligned living, aligned growing, aligned business building, where you get to come along for the ride. So it's not just your goals or dreams that matter. It's actually how you feel along the way. Mm-hmm. And it's also the people that you love. Like at the end of the day, we all know on our deathbeds, we're not going to be saying we should have worked more, right? No. And I know it's this passion and this drive. Like, there's so much passion and drive in what all of us do, but it's how to enjoy life and enjoy the magical middle in between the striving. So, and when you're striving, it's knowing why, like, being more intentional about what I'm doing. What is the impact of this? And because I feel like 50% of the stuff we might be doing doesn't matter as much as we think it does.
True.
You know?
But it's like, it's hard in that moment to separate that. Like, I think for me, and this is one of the struggles that I've had. I've talked with a lot of incredibly successful entrepreneurs. And so I look at them and I say, okay, well, I want to be like that one day. So what is it going to take, Kelly? What do we got to do? And it's so funny because I'll talk to them and I will ask them, I said, you know what? Like, are you happy with where you're at? And they'll be like, yeah, I'm super happy with where I'm at. I work like 4 hours a day now. We have a good income. The company runs itself. Life is great. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. But what about like, how long did it take for you to get there? And they're like, oh yeah, like it was like 10 years of grinding and striving and doing everything that I could to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so like, I guess for me, this is what I see. I see a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also at the end of the tunnel. Like there's a lot of striving and hard work that's going to happen for Kelly before he gets to that great life at the end of the tunnel. And it's like, my gosh, like that's a long time to wait sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, it really is. And here's, and like the truth is we don't know how long the tunnel is.
Or if we're even going to make it.
Yeah.
I might not even make it.
I'm not a joy coach. Depressed coach. No, it's so true. So to just like be super transparent and real, a couple of years ago, I spent too much time in the sun as a kid. And as we all did, like, hello, sun, hello, Fabutan, like, oh my God. Anyway, so now I've got some skin, like I need to go get mole checks all the time, and all this might be TMI, but whatever. This is how I roll.
All good.
So a couple of years ago, I had some biopsies done, and one came back as melanoma, just in situ, like just the beginning.
Yeah.
But hearing the C word really shook me up, because I still feel, I feel super young. I feel like there's so much for me to do. I feel super vital and just like passionate about life. And it was like, holy shit, like, oh my God, no, this can't be like, it can't, like you hear that word, you just think, oh, I'm going to die. Like, that's kind of like the first thing I think probably most people feel, or like, I don't want to. Right. And so I moved through what I call the joy method. I allowed myself to feel those uncomfortable feelings. And then I used it to like actually focus on feeling better and moving toward joy, like actually, regardless of any of it. So I'm fine. Like it's all fine. They removed it. I'm good. But what that showed me was like how quickly things can change, and like losing my dad, losing loved ones, having people get sick. Like it shows you how quickly things can actually change. And I think, I was talking about a friend recently who lost her father suddenly. As humans, I think we have this like perceived permanence so that we'll stay sane and keep doing the things we're here to do. Right. Yeah. It's like, you don't want to know that can't think too much about mortality or how quickly things could end, or you'd be depressed or in despair. Right.
That's right. That's right.
But it's how do we bring that knowing along the way to really make each day as magical as it can be, and really tend to, and this is what my work is, supporting entrepreneurs and actually bringing joy along the way. It's not just about the business you're building, although that is amazing. And all the things you're doing is amazing. And your drive for success is amazing, but your family is also amazing. Yeah. And your health is also amazing. And your home is also amazing. It's like how to make all of those quadrants actually a focus and a priority so that you get to experience harmony and you don't look back and say, okay, I'm here now, but what did I lose? What did I have to sacrifice along the way?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And like, I see what you've done here, and you've essentially modeled your life, your business all around the idea of happiness. Like on some level, you've probably found harmony in a way that most people are just have never even thought might be possible. Like I look at what you've done, and I think there's probably a lot of people listening today who are thinking, how the heck did she do this? Like, where did the idea for the Joy Journal come from? What might that do for me? Can we talk a little bit about, first off, how it led into the coaching, and then how that led into the Joy Journal?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for asking. Yeah. So the coaching, so I stumbled on the meditation bit. I think I remember people asking me to coach them before I even took any coach training. And I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Well, I don't know. Okay, sure. But I also, when I was drinking, I was studying and reading so many different authors and self-help books and, so much of that work. And I knew I wanted to be a coach one day. I just knew it wasn't the right time. I had to clean up my own act first. So when I got sober, it was kind of like, oh my God, now I can kind of pursue coaching. So I stumbled upon meditation. I got into more alignment. And then I started listening to Law of Attraction, Abraham Hicks. And it just felt like my soul was like, yes, like this is what I know to be true. And life started changing and shifting. And then I attracted Law of Attraction coach training.
Amazing.
When my friend told me, I told her I wanted to do coaching. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of going to Erickson and she goes, well, my friend Tanya is a Law of Attraction coach trainer. And I was like, you mean like Abraham Hicks Law of Attraction? She's like, yeah. I'm like, holy shit. So obviously I signed up for that. I did 2 rounds. I did just a kind of 6 or 9 months. I don't know. We made it way longer. And then a master's in coaching with her. Love her, Tanya, Reherchuk. And I started coaching the first month I was in that class, like in class, because I think it was part of my path for sure. And this is the thing about my path. Yes, it was really windy. I mean, I didn't tell you about working in the women's prison or at a psychology office or like all these other things, but it doesn't really matter because all roads led to now. Right.
Yeah.
So did the coach training, started coaching, and I created the joy sessions, which is the workshops I do, but also teach others to do. I started that as a practicum project. So it was like how to get as many hours as possible, do a group thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I put together the joy sessions, which includes, meditation prompts that I use, like, everything that is what I do now is a part of the path that I personally walked. So I was sharing with people the things that changed my life and the things that I created. In human design, I'm a manifester. I don't know if you study human design, but so like have these visionary tendencies that I didn't really recognize, but it's like very easily like I'm a creative, like I'm absolutely creative. So it's like creating the things that, that I needed and then potentially the world needs. So I started doing these sessions in my living room, and I did a 4-week program. Like I remember women just running into my house, kicking their shoes off to sit and meditate and journal. And it's where the joy method was born, because I was just doing like meditation, journaling and these sessions, but I was feeling like something was missing, and it was the inspired action piece.
Yeah.
So I pulled in a lot of like my psychology training, lots of CBT, mindfulness, meditation, and kind of, it just all actually, like, it wasn't conscious. Again, I was just kind of building tools that I knew would be helpful. They were helpful for me and others. And that in those sessions, that's when I did this expansion meditation and saw the joy sessions like kind of expanding into bigger places. And then when I thought I couldn't expand, it ended up expanding to an amphitheater in Rome with me and my husband playing guitar and like all of us, thousands of people meditating.
Wow.
And in the meditation, I was like, how much bigger can this get?
No kidding.
I don't even know.
No kidding.
But then it expanded to this field at dusk, and it started lighting up with fireflies. And I was just like crying. And it was like, wow. So like that has been kind of the vision ever since is, I know I'm not here to do this alone. So that was joy sessions. Soon after that, I think just being in community, people started maybe like, I again, big in energy. So probably feeling the vibration of what I was up to. And I got asked to go do joy sessions at Lululemon. And that was amazing working with their community. And then it just kind of began, like it continued to expand from there. I'm just like, I'm such an excited, like I just share what I do. I love social media. I got to be honest. Like I love social media still. I know it's changed a lot, but I find it's such a potential for connection. And I don't care, like the algorithm. Yeah, it can get frustrating, but I still make so many amazing connections on there and really value that. So, I mean, I feel like I built this aspect of my business very much through social, especially through COVID.
Yeah.
And the journal was part of the homework that I would give in the sessions. And so I started in my living room. And then in 2019, I took Amy Porterfield's course and I built the Joy Sessions online program before COVID, got it online and did like a couple rounds of that. And people were like, you should make the joy journal. Like, cause I would assign joy journaling as homework.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Like, I know I'm kind of busy. Right. And then during COVID, I was actually slotted to go to do joy sessions at the PJ party at the Fairmont, Jasper Park Lodge. And the day we were going, everything shut down. And I had moved a whole launch of one of the online programs to catch all these people. And then, I was also in a lot of debt. Hello, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We're like, I'm betting it all on black, like I'm just going for it. Who cares? Put it on the visa.
Yeah.
And I got dinged with 2 years of tax payments, same week.
Oof.
And then everything shut down. And I was like, holy shit. I mean, you should have a whole other podcast around like what happened for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
As I know, it happened for everyone else. Right. But so that was one of the pivotal points in my business where at the time I was like, oh my God, this is awful for the whole world. But what it allowed me to do, because I was like, I need to get a job, but no one's hiring. And then I was looking for jobs and I was like, okay, what would I do? And I was seeing, positions, but I would want to use my programs.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, why don't I just work with corporate companies and leaders?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a couple months later, I called in my first leader, Chris, and he then hired me to work with his family and his team. And he threatened me, literally. So it was Chris Floden who threatened me, said, if you're not going to make this journal, I will. That's what he said. And I was like, okay. And you know what? Like the income that came in at that time, I invested in creating the journal, the first journal. So thank you, Chris. And thank you, Contrast, for like supporting that in the world. So yeah, it feels like the Joy Journal it's like more than a journal. It's actually a program. The original journal, the gray one, is a daily ritual. Like, and you know, that might sound witchy, but I would call it a daily practice. It supports using your mind as a magic wand. It employs like law of attraction and cognitive behavioral therapy and theory, mindfulness, and everything that I know to support feeling better. Because I think that's the other thing with joy is it might feel ridiculous to be like, I'm not feeling very good. Joy doesn't even feel possible for me. Yeah. But joy is actually not like, we think of it as an end destination, but it's actually who we are. Right. Mm-hmm. So what it requires is for us to tend to ourselves. So this is why I built the daily practice, is to remember who we are, how we're feeling, how we want to feel, what we want to experience, and allow what's not working to actually fall away more easily to support our maximum alignment. So the journal allows that piece, is to support us in feeling better.
Yeah. Like I said, I think for a lot of, you know, like high performance individuals, my gosh, like one day just goes into the other, and the next thing you know, a week's gone by, and then a month's gone by, and a year's gone by, and you're like, holy crap, like where did I find time for me? And you know what I mean? I'm guilty for this. I know a lot of entrepreneurs are guilty for this, where I like kind of look back and it's like, what did I do this week that was fun or that I enjoyed? And it's like, holy crap, like I just worked. Right? I did the best I could that week, and I tried to be there for my family, and I tried to be there for my loved one, and I tried to be the best version of me that I could. But sometimes it's like, it feels like so much is required of us as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as people trying to change the world in one way or another. It can just be really hard to focus on who we are and what makes us happy, because sometimes it just doesn't matter. It feels like it doesn't matter at times. At least I felt that way.
Yeah. And this is what I would literally say is the practice of joy. It's remembering yourself along the way. Like, feel good on the way to your goals. Yeah. Make how you feel matter. Does that make sense even?
It does. Yes,
like that sounded like weird grammar.
No,
whatever.
It does. Yeah. I know what you're saying, Jillian. I know. And I can tell you, every entrepreneur's like, I get it. How the hell do I do this? Tell us how. Is there a secret? What do we not know here?
Okay, well, like, you know, Atomic Habits. Did you read it? I bet you read it.
I did read Atomic Habits.
Because you're like, how to build better habits faster. I call them joy habits. So I look at the practice of joy like building a joy habit. And it's a process. It's a practice, just like anything else. So it's like, if I need to practice feeling better. It's the same as if you want to feel fit or strong, you would go to the gym and work out, right? Yeah. So if I want to feel good in all aspects of my life, I will tend to it. Like, I will make the non-negotiable time for myself. But what I want to say is, this is not easy. Like, I'm just going to be 100% honest. And you said, I've done it. I'm happy. I'm like, no, I'm doing it. Like, I'm absolutely in the practice, and I still mouth guard work sometimes. You know, when you just are like in it, you're like, wake up, grab the laptop, start working. I'm in a launch right now, and I'm really trying to practice I'm calling it embodied leadership, which is where I make how I feel matter while I'm launching, while I'm marketing, like while I'm sharing, while I'm doing pretty much anything, is no longer disregarding myself. Because if I'm not here, what does any of it matter, right? Yeah. If I'm not tending to my light, if I'm not honoring my life force, literally my energy, then none of this even matters. So it's really realizing, you know, that like, I'm really thinking about legacy too. Yeah. Like, what is the legacy that we're leaving? And it's very much like branding. So branding for me is less about the visuals. It's more like, what is my energetic impact in the world? Yeah. And I think like branding is legacy. It's the same thing, actually. Yeah. It's how are people feeling around you? What are you creating in the world with your energy? And how do you do it with yourself instead of like leaving yourself, you know, along the way? It requires discipline, just like anything else. So I call it sacred discipline, because making yourself a priority is the most important thing you could ever do. Mm-hmm, and it's like, you know, starting small. Like, what does this look like to start small and then actually like feel better, and maybe we do, because the thing is, yes, okay, success-driven entrepreneurs, yes. And is it sustainable? And is it true? Like, are you truly happy if all you have is business and financial success? Because the people I work with aren't. Like, they are actually honest about it's actually not feeling as good as it could in all aspects of my life.
No. And I think the reason is that most of us start a business to get free, but we don't end up free.
Yeah.
We end up in some levels more involved and tied down than ever. And yet what we're still hoping for is that we get to freedom. Like when I think of financial success, what I really think of is freedom. Freedom to do what I want, to go where I want, to hang out with who I want, and to, buy what I want, whatever it is. It's about freedom. It's about peace and happiness. But it feels like at somewhere along the line, is that even realistic, or is that just a friggin' dream we've all sold to ourselves?
Well, and I would say if you want to experience freedom, where can you feel a little more free today?
Yeah.
Where can you create more freedom today? Knowing that it is not something that miraculously happens. We are the ones who decide to give it to ourselves. We are the ones, it's not like if I say I want peace, it means that I'm going to have the opportunity to choose peace. It means I'm going to have the opportunity to see conflict or drama and not bite the hook. It means, right? Like it feels like we are very active in our experiences. So if I want freedom, I need to be actively choosing freedom. I need to be taking inspired actions that support me in feeling free now. I got to be honest, Kay, I love business. I love building my business. I love everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
I get taken out of alignment very often because of how much I love what I do. I could be in creation mode all the time. I don't even actually know how much I work. It's a lot. Yeah. Me but too. Most of it doesn't feel like work.
Yes.
So that I would be honest about. If you don't want to work a lot, don't run your own business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say that all the time. I'm like, if you're going to start a business, you better damn well love it. It better be something you eat, breathe, and sleep, because that's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. And I need to practice discipline to put it down.
Yeah.
I'm the one I've decided, in all my programs, even I'm going away this weekend and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to do this, right? I'm working this Good Friday. We're working it, right?
Yeah.
And there's no problem there. I love working, and I'm probably not going to get through all my to-dos. And what I've had to do in order to experience more joy is actually release the idea that getting things done brings me peace. Because as long as we're alive, especially as entrepreneurs, you're going to have a ton of things to do. So it's actually I shifted it to, and in the journal, the new one, it's called the get to do list.
Yes.
And it's actually you're also on that list. Your self-care and your well-being is a non-negotiable. That's part of your to-do list now going forward. If you want to feel better, on the way to all of your dreams and goals, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also being able to celebrate all the dreams and goals that you've already achieved. We'll set those goals and then meet them. And then what? Just keep going. It's never ending.
Totally. It's just a moving target. And we've had so much success on the show, and I'm blessed. Honestly, I'm so thankful that we have, but it's like, oh, we won another award or something really cool just happened. Great. On to the next thing. It's really hard to just stop and celebrate that moment. And I know I'm not alone in that. So many people struggle with that same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am a big celebrator. It's something I also encourage is where are you winning? Right. Knowing that the things we tend to with our minds, the things we focus on, we expand. So let's focus on the wins and what we desire instead of what's not working or what shit is hitting the fan this week. Yeah. It's let's look at those as the opportunities for growth. What am I taking and moving forward? And then let's look at where am I winning? How do we just tending to that with the mind will expand the good things.
Yeah. No, I so much of what you're saying really just boils down to you need to become aware of your own joy or what makes you happy and try to prioritize that. And I think sometimes it can feel in entrepreneurship, we're just too busy to do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
I know you've even struggled with that because it's you're super high performance. You're doing big things. You're in the middle of a launch right now. I'm sure there are moments where you're like, hey, I'd love a break, but I can't take it because I got stuff to do. Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard in those moments to prioritize joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm oh, I should really walk Lily. And then it's like 10 o'clock PM.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's a small dog. That's why I got a small dog. It's all good.
Yeah.
No, and I like to just be so honest about how human I am. Like, I'm not perfect at this either. It is an absolute practice for me too. And I think I love what you said, what did you say? You said joy. Oh, so I need to share a formula. Okay. I'm all about the methods and the formulas.
Awesome.
But I feel like this is how, when you ask how, it's awareness plus action equals alignment. And I feel like awareness is so powerful. It's probably the most powerful thing that we have. And I actually feel like awareness is very healing for those who want to be conscious in this lifetime. So awareness, I've got the awareness that something's not working or feeling good. Then I move myself through what I call the joy method, noticing the thoughts, shifting them to better feeling thoughts, setting powerful intentions. The thing is when we realize that our focus is so powerful, instead of having the contrast to support a shift of attention, what if you could just wake up and say, what do I want to have happen today or this week? Right? Like super, I'm big on intention setting because I just see it like paving a pathway for ourselves. And I think that's how I've also had so much success and sustainable success, is because it's less doing, like it's truly more about the being. And I found all these hacks around, like I focus on the wins. I'm raising the vibration. There's frequency to the things I'm doing because of how I'm treating them and honoring them, right? Not just doing them.
Yeah.
And, I've had to simplify my business over and over and over again because I find it does take me out of alignment. Yeah. And I'm not saying I don't want to expand, but I'm saying I don't make expansion my focus. I make my impact in the world my focus. I literally make like that field of fireflies. Like if I can impact one person today positively and support you in maybe tending to yourself better, that's more light in the world. And boom, to me, that's the most important thing. But for me to have the impact I'm here to have, I need to honor my energy first. And so it's where I've reined it in. I'm like, no, I don't need a huge team. I don't need I don't need anything big or massive. I can be the low and slow one. And I teach others how to do this work. So it's like, and I don't have to do this myself. Yeah. It just feels like I've made simplicity more of my focus than expansion. And it's been very helpful for my joy levels.
Yeah. You talked about intention, and like for me, I've done things to do this week lists for over a decade. And that's how I've done my work, whether it's for a client or myself or whatever else. And it's like, it's not exactly the same kind of thing, but I've always found that writing down the priorities for the week for me has made sure that I actually hit them. I feel like if I didn't do those things to do this week, my top things to do today or whatever it is that I'm doing, I would not have been as successful as I am, because it's like, and I don't know like how that goes together, but there's something about writing something down that makes it happen.
Yeah, snaps for you. May I tweak that a little?
Absolutely.
May I add a suggestion to it?
Please do.
Write how you want to feel along the way. How do you want to feel as you do those things? Add that to your list. Yeah.
And like you said, like a feeling is 90 seconds? Like it's not a big ask, is it?
No. And it's like, can I honor, like, even when I'm feeling good, like, that all of it is fleeting. Like it's all changing, right? Yeah. I think also it's knowing we're not here to always feel good. Like that is where we err, I think, is thinking like, I need to feel good all the time. No, actually, here, getting a little wooey. As a soul having a human experience, I actually came here to feel all of the feelings, have all of those experiences. And do I need to stay down in the lower ones for too long? No, I can have them and move myself up that scale by using my mind, focusing on what I want instead of the thing that's really shitty or feeling shitty.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got to share the analogy. I have to do this analogy. I'm going to this is probably going to be the major thing that I'm now known for, is the shit stick, but I'm going to share it anyway. So it's knowing that our focus is like a magic wand. Okay. Sorry, no, wait, I wrecked it. The focus is like a stick. So in law of attraction, each focus is like a stick. This is what's going wrong. It's a shit stick. So imagine it's covered in shit. Okay. There's flies on it. Yeah. So we don't want to focus on what's going wrong. We want the magic wand, which is my crystal selenite stick. And this is what could happen. It's what do I want instead? So every time we have the contrast of what we don't want, it's what do I actually want instead? And the more that we're able to reframe, like this will change everything. And it does for me, like very, very regularly, because I have this shit stick moments too.
Yeah.
It's like, no, okay, not here to wreck everything. It's not going to take me down. It's just like, where can I revision? I just see it as being revisioning. And as entrepreneurs, we're all visionaries. So it's like, yeah, it's just seeing it as something to shift the energy, shift the focus with.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's amazing, Jillian. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and spreading some joy with our listeners. You're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders right now who are like, my gosh, yes, we all need more joy. Believe me, we all do. But I want to get into, you're in the middle of a launch of something pretty big right now, and it's specifically focused at entrepreneurs, leaders, people changing the world. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Should I show you?
Please.
I just got them in this week. So what has kind of unfolded is not just the leadership journal. So I created a new daily joy journal, and it's nice and black. It's kind of double the size as the original. This is definitely more of like a planner. It's not just the daily practice or daily ritual. It's I'm going to take it along with me. We set our goals in here, our joy-based goals. So again, like what are those goals, but how do you want to feel along the way to those goals? And then we go through the 4 quadrants, and it's a quarterly journal. So it's going to support you in like how you feel along the way, bringing your self-care in as well. We identify your needle movers. So it's kind of like a business leadership journal meets joy journal as well. Yes. Because I feel like this is the next way. Like this is the new era of leadership is embodied. It's I'm walking the walk. I'm setting a positive example. I'm honoring my own energy. I'm tending to my life force and my light. There's like, I just see so many people, God bless, like get like lots of illness, lots of sickness, like lots of things, lots of people going down right now. And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be like this. Like we can actually make our joy, our alignment a priority while changing the world and making it even better. Yeah. And being the visionaries we're here to be and feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is the leadership edition of the Joy Journal, correct? That's the right wording for it. So if people are looking right now, it'll be summertime. So people are hearing this show in the summertime. So I imagine right now it's in pre-order, but by summertime, it'll be very much available, I assume.
Yep. Available at thedailyjoyjournal.com.
Okay. So thedailyjoyjournal.com, they'll be able to order the leadership edition of the Joy Journal. Guys, it looks awesome. I know you can't see it. We do an audio show primarily, but it looks really great. Go check it out. You're seeing it right now.
You saw it though, Kelly.
I did. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of people here who are thinking, you know what? Yeah, I could use a little joy in my life. If that's the thing that might help. What are the other services that you offer that could maybe help some of the leaders listening right now who are thinking, yeah, I'm going to get the Joy Journal, but what else can I do? Can you come and do classes for our company? Can you do some one-on-ones with us? What are some of the services that you offer, Jillian, through your company?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, I do joy session workshops. I do corporate coaching, team coaching, and one-on-one coaching as well. So I just truly love meeting people where they're at and supporting as best I can for the most amount of people. So yeah, it just really depends where people are at. So I would just say reach out and let me know where you're at and what would serve you, and we can talk about possibilities.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, Jillian, that takes us to the end of our show today. Thank you so much for gracing our stage. I really appreciated this, and I really, really enjoyed our conversation. It is Jillian Schecher Inc. What is the website to be able to check out your coaching stuff?
Sure. So JillianSchecher.com.
JillianSchecher.com. Perfect. We've had Jillian Schecher with us, joy and mindfulness coach. It was absolutely amazing. Until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Calling all office leaders and game changers. Score big this season with At-Work Office Furniture, your winning strategy for workspace excellence. Picture this, premium commercial furniture delivering a championship level experience. From rapid deliveries to custom visual plans, At-Work ensures every piece is an all-star player. For over 40 years, At-Work has been crafting office success stories across Canada. Need a winning team without the hefty price tag? Head over to www.atwork.ca. They are not just furnishing offices, they're creating spaces where business champions thrive. Contact Rodney and his team at hello@atwork.ca. Mention Kelly and the Business Development Podcast for an exclusive touch. Your victory starts here at Work, where every workspace transforms into the ultimate arena for success. Don't just dream it, achieve it with At Work office furniture. That's www.atwork.ca.